Hello, beautiful beings. Welcome to Let's Create the Revolution Together, a podcast about creating new ways to embody ourselves as human. If you're here, you're probably well aware of all the shifts that are happening on our planet. Maybe you go with the flow with those changes, or maybe you're struggling to find who you truly are. Either way, this space right here is for you. My name is Marigold Era. I'm an Ayurvedic wellness coach, a spiritual life coach, and a podcaster. I am here to guide you through this reality that we can call the Earth School. I strongly believe that we are here to create new ways to show up as individual and as collective, and that every experience that we encounter is an opportunity to grow and evolve. So grab yourself something to drink, make yourself comfortable, and let's jump right into the next episode. On today's episode, I'm excited to introduce you to Christina Ariana. She's a supplier of perspective shifts, a professional storyteller, a podcast host, an author, an intuitive healer, a spiritual mentor, and a guide. What struck me when I first met Christina was her positive energy. She's truly a ray of light. The way I experienced her was like talking with a beautiful and colorful butterfly who's always looking on the bright side. Her mission here is to help women embody their souls. I relate a lot with her when she says that on our journey, we have a choice to rather listen, understand, and evolve with our souls, or to shut it off, shun ourselves, and live in the darkness. She believes that to be free to listen to the true guidance of the soul within is a luxury that all being on earth should have. And when she works with people, she doesn't just guide them, rather, she teaches them to be guided by their own soul. She wants to see more people living in a world where they are truly connected to something good and greater beyond this existence. So here she is, Christina Ariana, on embodying the law of attraction. I hope you enjoy this episode. Yay!
So good
Yay, Christina!
here. Hi. Hello, everyone.
I'm so glad to have you on.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. And I'm so happy that everyone here is to listen and to be present for just sharing this space together. It's beautiful.
Yes. All right, let's jump right into it. So, on this episode, we're going to talk about embodying the law of attraction, but I want to just circle back to before, like what happened before you got into this embodiment and like this empowering life. So, how were you? What were you before you started all that?
It was so beautiful to actually listen to the introduction and listen to the difference between evolving with your soul and being in the light and being in this place where you feel like you're guided and you know what's coming next and you have all these abilities awakening, and then when it's shut off and you're living
Mm-hmm.
in darkness. So that actually is my story. I was just I honestly call the years before I awakened, I call them my zombie years, because I felt like some kind of like I would automatically respond to everything and kind of float through life. And when someone told me to do something, I would do it. I wouldn't question anything. I was on a path that seemed to be created for me and decided for me, and life was happening for me. And I think it's funny to see people say now life is happening for us and it's this positive thing. But for me, I don't want life to happen for me. I want life to happen as me. I want to be creating it. And that to me is embodying the law of attraction. But yeah, I should get into the whole story. So yeah, life was happening for me. It was decided for me that I would go to
Mm-hmm.
college. That was a big goal that my parents had for me, and I never really questioned it. I didn't really feel good about going to college. I remember just not really feeling good about anything at the time. I was kind of numb and just there. And I remember the first time I questioned everything was my second year. I was at the University of Central Florida in Orlando. I was in a sorority. There were 3 top sororities that had like the hottest girls, and I was in a top tier sorority. It was probably the prettiest, hottest, most fun girls all together in a sorority. I was in that one. I had a beautiful apartment, beautiful, amazing apartment that 4 girls lived in. We all lived together. Um, College was paid for by scholarships, and my parents contributed too. So college completely paid for. Um, my parents also supported me with my like finances, like they were helping me like with groceries and everything. So I didn't really have any stress. I was in this beautiful place, um, but I was numb. I didn't really feel anything. I didn't really feel happy, didn't really feel grateful, never really got upset. And I started to question, okay, why am I not jumping up and down overjoyed that this is my life?
Mm,
Why am I
right.
excited about this? Why am I not happy? And so I feel like from asking those questions, I started to kind of have some messages come to me. I feel like the universe started to kind of be like, okay, she's questioning things. Like, what can we give her? How can we awaken her? And I guess it was pretty nice awakening because it happened through traveling to Italy, where on my 21st birthday, my mom wanted to take me to Italy, and it's part of like my birthday present. And
Nice.
we went with a group of girls, and we were all there in Tuscany for 10 days. And that was definitely at the time, I didn't know that my heart was awakening, but it was
Mm,
definitely a heart awakening for me where I saw the passion and I saw
mm,
the flow of life and just music everywhere and good food, and people would, take longer than 20 seconds to eat one bite of food. Like I didn't grow up in a world like that. Like my family, everything was always rushed. Like we were always going to the next thing.
mm,
And so there was just this moment to moment experience of bliss and joy and presence. And then when it came to work, I saw so many businesses where people were so full of passion and they were so excited. Like I will never forget walking into this leather shop where this man, he was just in this motion of performance and excitement of, oh, I made of this and I made of that and this is my shoe and this is my purse, and it was, you could feel that he didn't want you to buy anything, like not
mm,
didn't want you to buy anything, but you could feel that that was his genuine embodiment, that he was
right.
being himself and it wasn't a show and it was authentic and it was real. And I remember looking at that man and thinking, I want that. And I had never had that feeling before. I had never
Mm,
felt I want that about anything. Everything was, someone said this was a good idea, so I'm going to do it. Or I saw this person doing that and they seem kind of happy, so I'm going to do it.
mm,
Being in Italy, that was the first time that I was like, I want that. And I think that lit a fire in me where I realized I knew what kind of person I wanted to be. It wasn't super specific, but I knew I wanted to be someone full of passion. And I was
yes.
excited to figure out what that would look like and how that would come into form. So I
That's
think,
awesome.
yeah, desire
I
is very big.
Yes, yes, yes. And would you like, do you remember what led you to questioning your reality? Like, do you know, like, can you pinpoint to like an event or, I don't know, something that happened that just led you to start questioning, like, why am I not enjoying this as much? Why, like, am I not as grateful for all of that, you know?
I actually can't pinpoint when it was. I just, something probably did lead me to
Right.
questioning my emotions. Something probably did, but I just remember questioning like, why am I not happy? Like why am I
Hmm.
not feeling happiness?
Right.
Um and yeah, that question, I don't know where that came from though. It could have possibly been that just it was my second year of being on this journey where, you're finally independent, you're in
Yeah.
college, I'm living quite an independent life, making my own decisions, and I'm just taking things day by day and just wondering, okay, when do I get to feel happy? Like, where is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so then the awakening actually started with The Secret when I came back from Italy.
Really?
Yes.
The
So
movie or the book?
the movie.
All right.
I was lazy in college. I was not books. Literally my first 2 years of college I was not reading any books, except books I needed to like study for school. But yeah, I, it was my zombie years, so I was not not trying to learn anything really. I was just trying to survive and like get through the next day. But there was this, and I actually remember. So when I came back from Italy, I instantly went into a depression and like a poor me type thing where I was just like, I don't think I can go to this college anymore. Like, I
Mm.
think I can do this. Like, after being in Italy, I just feel like everything was so amazing and everyone was so passionate. And I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I just was wondering, what am I supposed to do from here? How do I have that passion in this place? And I didn't think it was possible. Like, I was like,
Mm.
it's this place, it's this school, there's nothing here, it's dark. And I just started to get depressed and was watching I was watching Sex in the City at the time. Yeah, that was my favorite show. And I did that all the time. I remember, I think I completely finished the season and I was like, dang, what am I going to watch now? And and an idea popped into my head about, my mom had always wanted me to watch The Secret or read the book. She had always encouraged it and I
Mhm.
would brush it off. And so that idea came to me and I thought, okay, well, nothing better to do right now. Well, I'm gonna just watch it. And I turn on Netflix, go to watch The Secret, and just my world instantly changed. I've always been someone very open minded. I just take in information like that. I never questioned it. I never was like, how is this real? Like, I just took it as truth. I was like, your thoughts create your reality. I was like, whoa, okay, this is so cool. So then I just immediately started to think positive thoughts. I immediately shifted and I was like, I'm going to
Mm.
try this and I'm going to see if it helps me be this happy person and I'm going to see how it starts to change my life.
Nice. That's awesome. And so, how did it change your life?
So the first thing that happened that I remember being quite significant was, at the time, the one thing I was passionate about was fitness. I
Mm.
started the fitness journey. And then I also want to add that I did quit my sorority. It's another thing.
Right.
I realized, okay, this isn't serving me. I'm not happy with this. I quit the sorority. And I was going to the gym a lot and spending a
Mhm.
lot of time with myself. I started to realize what kind of thoughts were on a loop for me, on a habit for me, and started to work on wanting to think more positively. And
Mhm.
I started reading books. I read so many books I started reading Abraham Hicks and
Mm.
like the actual law of attraction book. And that was a big change for me because I never thought I would be someone who would be reading books. And like out of nowhere, I was like reading every night and reading every morning. And I didn't even like, it wasn't even like a goal for me. It was almost like the autopilot I was in before my awakening. I still was definitely on some kind of path, but it
Right.
was just, it seemed more like my path because it felt good. And I
Yeah.
felt like I had more more of a say in what was going to happen next. I felt like I had more creative authority. Uh,
Right.
Yeah. And so my passion was the gym. And I was so in love with the gym. And I was thinking about becoming a personal trainer. And I remember telling my dad that that's what I wanted to do, that I was thinking about doing that. And he was totally not for it. He was like, why are you in college then? I sent you to college and you don't need to go to college to be a personal trainer. He was really upset. And for some reason, after my awakening, I didn't care as much about outside opinions. And
Mm.
I think I started to really value my own opinion because The Secret taught me that you are the center of your world. You are
Yeah.
the one that's creating everything. So maybe if my dad's upset, maybe I can think some positive thoughts about really being supportive and everything working out. And I don't need to worry or stress about the fact that he's upset right now, and know that it's gonna shift based on what I choose to think about. And I just started to have this more positive attitude, and I got a job in a gym. And so
Nice.
I started actually following my passion, and that was really good for me.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
and then and then after that, like what happened after you being did you become a personal trainer, or you were just working at at the gym?
So eventually I did, but it was a little bit of a journey to get there. I was a
Right.
sales rep at a Orange Theory fitness studio.
Okay.
So if people don't know what that is, it's just a group fitness class. And I always would dream about being one of the coaches. I would just sit
Right.
there and dream about it. And yeah, so eventually I did, though, in the future.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. And like, what about now? Where are you now?
So now is totally different. If we just up to now, it's like, what? How did this girl get here? Now I own my own practice, and I have my own practices that I introduce to people based on who they are, because their soul has their unique way of creating their reality. And I'm
Mm.
able to see that and basically open people up to where their soul is, what their soul is, who their soul is, and how they can embody that energy. I've traveled the world. I've gone back to Europe since that Europe trip. And
Nice.
yeah, and I do feel 100% free, which is a good feeling to have, especially
Yes.
with what we're surrounded by right now.
Yes. So, how did you go from being a wanting to be a personal trainer, becoming one, and like now where you are?
Okay, this is cool. So it's definitely a little bit of like a zigzag thing of how things came together. So while I was at Orange Theory, I did get you need to be certified to be a personal trainer. So I got my certification. I took the test and everything. And um, so that was happening. And that was like a potential, like a goal for me to accomplish. And then at the same time, in one of my classes at UCF, they asked me to get an externship, which
Hmm.
is just seeking work from someone that you admire. And so I found a holistic healer online.
Nice.
And this woman was my first role model. I
Hmm.
remember I was always taught to have a role model, how important it was, and I was always seeking one. Okay, whose life do I want to have? What? And I was never surrounded by anyone that inspired me, really. I never looked at someone and was like, "Yeah, I want your life." I'm very picky, I guess. And I never had that until I met her, and I was like, "Oh, a holistic healer. This is so cool." And she was the first ever real like healing intuitive woman that I ever met. And I remember she
Hmm.
invited me to a full moon sister circle, and I it was a new world. I walked in and I was like, wait, it's just women in this room. We're gonna sit and journal together and meditate. What? Like, it was foreign to me. And I mean now like that's a regular for me to experience, but back then, oh my goodness, I was like, what is this? This is so cool. And and she so this is actually the first time I ever scripted something, which is one of
Hmm.
the popular ways to use the law of attraction. Um, so at the time, I kind of have to back up. So it was before I even met her, where I felt super alone, and I felt like I was the only awakened being around me. I'm the only conscious one here. Everyone wants to go drink. It's college. Like, where's my tribe? And I just remember being in the witness position of that
Hmm.
and thinking, okay, no wonder why you're miserable. You keep telling yourself that that's happening.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
telling myself that no one around me was wicked. So it's happening. And I think that's the one piece of law of attraction that is interesting, because it requires you to totally surrender your current reality. It It requires you to completely remove yourself and
Mm.
decide, yeah, it's true that no one around me is reading Eckhart Tolle and Joe Dispenza and Abraham Hicks. It is true. But I'm going to remove myself. I'm going to let that go, surrender, and go visit a totally new reality.
Yes.
And that's what I did. I took out my journal and I wrote this whole story about being surrounded by people and that we're all talking about the law of attraction and feel really good and we're all really happy and we're all passionate and we're all on a mission. It was this whole long thing. And the woman that I met, who was a holistic healer, she invited me to an event called Stand Out and Thrive. And that event, word for word, matched everything I wrote down in my journal. We talked about all
Wow.
the the one thing that was different was that these people were all entrepreneurs and I was not seeking to meet entrepreneurs at the time. I just wanted friends. But these were all people who had their own business and who were making an impact on the world in a soul led way. And that,
Right.
yeah. So that's this other second path that opened up where it was like, okay, I could be this Orange Theory coach and go on that path, or have a business and
Mm.
start to work on that. And at the time, it was my senior year at UCF, and my parents really wanted me to live with them. Like, they
Okay.
were excited about it. They missed me and they wanted me to be home. And I was at this event where they were offering a business program to learn how to start a business and learn how to make an impact and be in that community. And I was like, okay, I could invest in this and live with my parents and
Right.
make my childhood bedroom my little creative cocoon for making this business and for, making this dream come true.
Mm.
And that's what I chose to do. I told the people at Orange Theory that I was going to move and after college, and that I was going to go decide to start my own business.
Right.
Um,
I'm just curious about like what were you studying in college?
so many things.
Okay.
I started off studying aerospace engineering,
Really?
and then I decided, okay, I remember feeling like everyone was really innovative, and I didn't think I was innovative, which I thought that because I feel like I'm one of the most innovative people I know now. But I just was like, I'm not innovative. I'm not going to be able to do this. And I just, no. And then, and another thing about that, we had this class where you needed to build a robot and
Mm.
program the robot to do all these things. And I remember I walked into that class on the first day, and there was like a group of 4 to 5 guys that had already built their robot and programmed it over the summer. And they were just so hyped about these robots and playing with them, doing it. And I was just like, I was able to do the work to build the robot, and I got an A in that class, but I wasn't excited to be there. And I think it was smart of me to change because I saw those guys
Mm.
lit up and so excited to be
Right.
there and to play with this their work in that class was their play.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know at the time that that's why I made that decision. But now looking back, it's like, oh, yeah, I saw that and I wanted that and I knew it wasn't going to be there.
Yes.
So then from there, I started to study biomedical science.
Okay.
Yeah, which didn't really make any sense because I had no intention of going to med school, but I was just very good at math and science. So
Mm.
I just wanted to take those classes. I really wanted to take calculus too, and I didn't even need it for my career, but I just wanted to do it. So I think if you are just following your passions and following what you enjoy in every
Mm.
single moment, you might not really accomplish anything for a while, because that's definitely what I was doing in college. I was just trying to find what in, interests me. I remember taking a class on Egypt and all this stuff that I didn't need, but at least I can look back and say like I chose things that I was
Mm,
enjoying. So yeah.
that's awesome.
Degree is in physical science and behavioral studies.
Really? So how do you still use that?
Um, I I feel like to an extent, I'm happy that I have a basic knowledge of psychology. Well, I wouldn't say basic because I would say it goes a little bit beyond basic, but I'm happy that I had that foundation to start my journey.
Yes.
And also, I remember taking a neurobiology course that showed me
Mm,
the basis of how the brain worked. And
right.
if anything, it did show me how flawed the school system is in a way because I read a book written by a neuroscientist that improved my life and gave me so many different tools, which is like a book versus like a whole class that is more expensive and more involved. It didn't really, I mean, it showed me how the brain works, but it didn't make me happier or like improve my life in any way. So,
Right.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I love your story.
You're
The first
welcome.
time I hear it too.
Yeah.
So how about telling those shorter story that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I was excited to tell the beginnings of my relationship with the law of attraction. And
Yes.
yeah, one of my favorite things that it's so funny. I just still look back on it and can pick out. I feel like I'm such a scientist with things. Like, I just can pick out the little, okay, this worked and that worked. And so, yeah, at the time, I think it was my senior year in college, and I had the worst breakout. Like, my skin would just be like covered, and
Mm,
I was on YouTube one day and found the 5 by 55 method, which
mm,
is for 5 days, you write down 55 times a sentence about your desire.
right.
And most people write, I am so happy and grateful now that dot dot dot. So it was my first time doing it, and I miss being this type of person because I just would read things and take in information, and I would just decide, okay, this person says that that's how it goes, so it must go that way. I never questioned anything. I just was like, okay, cool. I had such like an innocent, um like naive way of taking on the world. So I think that personality, like with spiritual protection, is perfect.
Mm,
Because if you're naive and innocent and you can just take things in and you have protection so that the things you take in are good for you, then you're good.
yes, you're
But
right.
that was where I was living. So I'm like in this little bubble, and I just started writing, I am so happy and grateful now that I have perfect skin. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have perfect skin. I just wrote it down, had a great time with it. And then a few weeks later, I went to the dermatologist, and the dermatologist suggested a type of face wash for me. And I started using this face wash, and then my skin was perfect. And it was, I mean, it's still perfect now. I don't really struggle with that. And so, some people would say that it wasn't what you're writing down that gave you, it was the skincare, but I feel like me having that time to write that down put me in an energetic alignment to receive that
Yes.
and that skincare. I could have very well been in a different dimension with a different dermatologist who would have given me a different skincare, and maybe that skincare would have been wrong for me, and I would have had to go back, and he would have had to try a different one. And so I do think that it's not you just write these things down and things come out of nowhere. You write these things down to open up yourself to the opportunities that are here in the physical world when we decide that they are.
Yes, definitely. I love that because sometimes it's true that we can think that it's just gonna appear magically, but it's just the way we're shifting our view or perception, like we open to something wider, like a wider vision, and then something can come inside our lens, right?
Yeah.
That if we would have been just like that thing would just, we wouldn't have seen it at all. So yeah, I feel that very strongly too. When you're manifesting stuff, it's not like it's happening magically, it's just like you're opening yourself to new opportunity.
Yeah, I love when you say it's not like it's happening magically. It's true. Um, it can be fun to be like, oh, I did this magical thing and I said this and then this happened. But it's also your perspective to just look at it in a way where it's just a law. It's just the way that things work. It's just life happening.
Yes. Yes, that's so awesome. I saw that with my kids the other day. They're always like participating in the meditation in the morning, and so one of my daughter wanted to have new friends, and she was meditating and manifesting in those meditation about having more friends. And then she went to the pool, and then she was just open more, right? Because she was already going to that pool every week, but she wasn't seeing those kids. And then that morning when she got into the pool, she came back to me and she was like, I made so many friends. And I was like, see, because of the meditation, because you're manifesting that thing, you're opening yourself to seeing those kids that were already there past weeks. Like they were there, you were just like close to the opportunities of seeing them or talking to them. But by manifesting it, you're opening it, like you're opening the field of like your reality, right? And so she was so happy, and she was like, meditation is awesome.
That's amazing. How old is she?
She's 11.
Wow. Oh, that is so cool. She's the most powerful creator ever.
Yes, they're all like, I have three of them, and they're all like super powerful being. Sometimes it's even like overwhelming how powerful they are as a mother. I'm like, oh my God, awesome, right?
That is so cool. Wow. Yeah, I have like a metaphor for how that goes because I like have one on the tip of my tongue, but I just feel like it's it's kind of like the universe has a deck of cards and it's just handing them out to everybody and it's just dealing them and then you wake up and all of a sudden you're like, "Wait, I want diamonds. I only want diamonds." And then like because you're just projecting that energy out there, the universe kind of stops and is like, "Oh, I'm going to look for the diamonds for this person." Like I can only,
Yes.
and it's just kind of like the intelligence of the universe responds to you because you're finally waking up and deciding to communicate with that intelligence. I feel like the universe does have a heart and a soul like we do. It's just
Yes.
really powerful apparently, but I feel like when we give our heart to the universe and we give our soul and our attention to the universe and we actually become present with our life and we're like, you know,
Yes.
your daughter did. I really want friends. This is what I want. Life is like, oh, she wants
All
something.
right.
She's
Yeah.
she's not just gonna show up and you know she knows what's gonna make her happy and she knows what she wants. Like let's make it happen.
Yes. And yeah, and the other interesting thing that is happening with that situation is that when she wants friend out of loneliness, like it's just not happening. And when she wants friend from art space and just by wanting to have more experiences, then those relationship are like I don't know, not appearing, but like showing
Yeah,
up, I guess. But when she's like out of a restricted energy and like feeling lonely and feeling like alone, like just misunderstood or whatever, like when she's in those kind of struggle, like she's like so closed up that she won't even see them. But they're right there.
well,
So it's super interesting for even for her to realize that, because the way we think it actually does attract. It's like if you're like you were saying earlier, if you say like no one is open, like no one is awake, no one is like, you will just keep on saying seeing those people that are not awake. And so it's like that with everything we're talking about, we're saying out loud, or even like thinking to ourselves, you know, and we're creating our reality. And sometimes like it's just awesome to be reflecting that with my kids, like for them to understand that so early on, how much power they have. Like they always want to be magical, you know. I want to be like, I want to be able to make magic, you know. And I'm like, well, yeah, just like create from love, create from a space of openness, not from restriction or fear, you know. Like this is good stuff, weren't like they're not going to happen from that restricted space. They're going to happen from like that opening and loving space. And so like it's super fun to to reflect on them, like what they're attracting on both sides.
I feel like I just learned so much from that. That was, yeah, that was such a great reminder to just stay open and be in that expansive space. I love that they want to create magic. I want to
Yeah.
create too. Like, let's all do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
My youngest is 6 and she wants to throw ice with her finger, you know, like that. And I'm like, I don't know if this is possible, but maybe it is. You know?
Maybe.
Who knows? You know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So what you're saying kind of reminds me of this one time where I actually was in that contracted space.
Mm.
My manifestation did come through. So it's interesting how it's like, I don't know, the law of attraction is so, I don't know, I guess it depends on the situation, and there's so many different factors. But I noticed for me, because I'm a being that values truth so much,
Mm-hmm.
I notice me being rewarded when I'm showing up as who I truly am in that moment. And oh my gosh, another thing about that too is just removing and disconnecting from any other concept of this being that I am, other
Yes.
than the being that I am, is so, so powerful. And just being, I'm here, this is me. There's no other me out there to go get or go connect with like right now, unless I'm trying to connect with another version of me and I want to. Not in a way where like you think you need to show up a certain way. But yeah, should I just go into this story?
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah. So I'm in Florida. I had just met a guy and we were started dating, and he invited me to see one of my favorite DJs, which was Slander. He's still one of my favorite DJs. They are, it's a group. But anyways, Slander was one of my favorite DJs, and he invited me to their show in Miami, and we were planning on going. And then in the last minute, he said that he needed to go visit his family, and he was really sorry, but like we can't go. And I'm sitting on the couch. I got that text, and I was super sad, and I was like, man, like I really want to go. And then I heard a voice in my head go, "Why don't you still go?"
Yeah, just go.
And I'm like, yeah, but I would have to go by myself. Like, yeah, why don't you? And so I decided, okay, yeah, I'll just go. And I immediately went online, bought a ticket, and just like, you know what? I'll just go. I won't even think about it. I'm going to go. And I knew that that was my inner guidance too, speaking to me. I was like, at
Right.
this, had that relationship going. And I was like, yeah, I can trust this. I'm going to go. So I buy the ticket. And then at the time, I was not in a position to drop $300 on an Airbnb in Miami on
Mm.
Miami Music Week too. And I was looking at all the Airbnbs, and I was like, yeah, financially, this is a no for me right now. And so I decided to just go with the flow. Like maybe something would happen. Maybe I would run into people that I know, because that happens to me a lot at festivals, because you're in that community. I was like, maybe I
Right.
But I know, maybe there's a place for me to stay. Maybe I sleep in my car. Maybe I decide to drive back because I was in St. Petersburg, so it was a 3-hour drive.
Hmm.
Kind of long, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm so hyped from the concert that I decide to drive back. I'm tuning into all these different possibilities, and I'm like, you know what? Everything's gonna work out. I'm just gonna go with the flow. I'm gonna be fine. So I get ready for the concert, and then I start driving. I stop to get gas. Someone comes up to me at the gas station, and this person is a straight up character. They have a big blue wig, like long, a sparkly top. They definitely looked like they could be using some kind of drugs because they, and I'm very sensitive to energy, so their energy was just kind of like wishy, like just foggy and just like, whoa, where did you come from? Like, feel like there's just something off. And then they came up to me and they were like, do you have any cash? Like, I need cash. Do you have any money? And I was feeling generous. I had cash, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this person like $5, and I just go and give them money. And then as soon as I gave them the money, they kind of were like, and they were like, you are a very powerful being. And I was like, okay. And they were like, do you know that you can just call things into existence? You know that you do that? And I was like, no, I don't know that. And they were like, yeah. And they were like, and you turn all evil into good. You are just a good person. Like, any space that you walk into, you make it good just by you being there. Like, you have a very powerful energy. And then they were like, and I can read anyone, and I don't usually just give people this information, but you need to hear it. Like, it's important that you hear this. And then in my mind, I'm like, who is this person? I try to read their energy more, and I start to read their energy. And then they go, I also don't normally let people read my energy, but you can go ahead and read mine. So at that point, I was like, wow, this person, I mean, they're kind of strange, but they seem to be tapped in enough where they could tell that I was reading their energy. They're, in my mind, we're in this realm. So I was like, that's so interesting. And then they also told me that they were a shapeshifter. I was like, okay, you go do that, you awesome shapeshifter. So then they walked away, and then I got in my car. I continued my drive to Miami, and I honestly think that was the first time that someone looked in my eyes and told me that I was powerful, like other than myself. I had been kind of telling that to myself, and it was different to have someone else be like, you are a powerful being. And I started to think differently, where I thought to myself, yeah, if I am this powerful being who can bring anything to existence, where do I want to sleep tonight? I decided that I wanted to sleep in a mansion. I want to sleep in a mansion. That is what's happening tonight. I am doing that. And the next thing I felt inspired to do was look at a picture of a mansion and just have it in my head. So I like Googled on Pinterest, and I like looked at the mansion, and I'm like, yep, that's where I'm sleeping tonight. And then just looked at the picture, decided, and then kept playing music. And I think that's one thing that was cool with that story, is that I just picked something, looked at it, and then didn't think about it at all. Like, decided this is what's happening. It's inevitable. I chose a place I'm going to sleep, so that's where I'm going to sleep. And it was very different compared to the version of me that was just like, anything could happen. I could sleep in my car. I could meet up with a friend. I could drive back. I had all, but then I met this person who told me that I could create anything I wanted, and I decided, okay, yeah, what I want is to sleep in a mansion. That's what I'm deciding. And so then I'm at the festival, the little show, and I did meet up with someone. I found someone that I knew there, but I didn't know them very well. Like, I had met them at another festival and met them for like 10 minutes. And they talked to me for a little bit, and as soon as they started talking to me, I was like, oh, this must be like the friend that I'm gonna like spend the night at their house, like. And immediately after I had that idea in my head, they didn't want to talk to me anymore. Like they kind of were like, yeah, well, it was nice seeing you. Bye. How that like, I wanted something from them or needed something from them, and that was like ick. Like I don't want to hang out with this person. Like bye. And so I was like, oh no, like what am I gonna do now? And like the show is over, and it's like kind of winding down, and I'm like tired. Like I'm exhausted. I'm feeling defeated. I'm feeling sad, and I sit down in this one spot, and there's other people sitting there, and I kind of started talking to them, but it was just like really difficult to connect with them. And then they were like, "Okay, we're gonna go. It was nice to meet you." And okay, bye. And they were like, "Are you good?" Like they did this like thumbs up with me, and I was like, "No, I'm not good." And then they still got up and left though. And then there was a person from really far away, and he saw me, and he did the thumbs up with me too. Like he was like, "Are you good?" And then that's when I was like, "You know what? Yeah, like I'm good. Everything's fine." And then this person did like come talk to me anyways. Him and his girlfriend came up to me from like super far away, and they were like, "Hey, like we just want to check on you. Like you said you're good, but you don't seem good." And then I just unleashed everything. Like I was like, "I don't think I'm supposed to be here. I had this idea that I come here and be by myself and like find a place to stay. And I think that's just a crazy idea. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm gonna have to sleep in my car or drive back. And I don't really want to do that right now." Like, I was just full on present moment complaining, negativity, but it was honest expression of
Yes.
this is what's happening. And the girl was like, "Oh my gosh, like you cannot sleep in your car. Like you should not sleep in your car." I was like, "Okay." And then she was like, "Would it be okay if I got you a hotel room?" And I was like, "I don't know, like I don't really want you." It was like such a tough situation, like such a weird situation for like a bit. And then um they ended up she was trying to call a hotel, but it was 3 in the morning and you couldn't
Right.
call in the morning. So then at this point, I'm just like full surrender. I'm just like, okay, I'm probably gonna have to sleep in my car. It's okay. I just accept it. And we end up like talking and getting to know each other and having more small talk, and like my vibes kind of getting back to like normal, and I'm feeling better. And we were the last people at the show.
Mm.
You came up to us. I was like, "Hey, the show is over." So we're like, "Okay, we should probably leave." So I got off the show, and then the girl was like, I really want to like invite you to stay where I'm staying, but it's my aunt's house, and I just feel kind of weird because I feel like she would want to know that like I've known you, and I feel like she would just think." So she was like concerned about what her aunt thought, and then I was like,
Mhm.
"Well, what if you tell your aunt that we're friends? Because are we friends?" Like, like, yeah, we are friends. And I was like, "You could just tell her we're friends." And she's like, "Yeah, I think I could just do that." And she's like, "You know what? Yeah, like you should just come stay with us. Like, there's an extra room, and like I have a good feeling about it." And I was like, "That is so sweet. Thank you so much." And I had my car with me, so they didn't have to Uber. Like, I was able to drive them back. So then I kind of felt like, okay, this is like an even exchange. Like I'm giving them a ride, they're giving me a place to stay. Like it's all good. We pull up in a driveway of a mansion. And just like, oh my goodness. And we walk into the front door, and pretty much I guess this is like the classic dog of the super rich. They have this massive Great Dane guard dogs. There's two of them, and they are so loud. Like they start barking, and I'm like, I'm all conscious about. Like I'm like, oh, like we should tell the dogs to be quiet. Like blah blah blah. And the girl's boyfriend, he goes, Oh, we're on the north wing of the house. And her aunt and uncle are in the south wing, so they cannot hear anything. Like, you could scream right now, and they're good. They can bark as loud as they want to. And I was like, okay. And so then we go upstairs and like we just hang out and like we just like smoked weed for a little bit and we're just all hanging out. They were totally like my type of people. Like I was talking about the most esoteric things that usually like my friends at the time would be like, Christina, stop, you're hurting my brain. Like stop. And they were the type of people like they like stopped, like had their eyes bugged out of their head and they were like, keep talking, like what else I would say. And I was like, this is awesome. And there's this one point where they wanted me to smoke more and I was like, wait, you want me to get more high? Like usually friends try to take it away from me and they're like, don't. But it was they were like so into like all the esoteric stuff and we were just having so much fun. And then yeah, they like told me what room I would sleep in. I had my own bedroom, my own space, and like my own bathroom. And, like, because there's I don't know, I think there was like 20 bedrooms in that house. It was huge. And so I go to sleep, and then I wake up the next day. I'm like, wow, I'm waking up in a mansion. Like that it would happen. So cool. And then they gave me a tour in the morning, and I think the most crazy thing about this mansion is that there was a specific room for wrapping gifts.
Okay.
This room looked like Joanne, like there were rolls of like paper was in rolls on the wall so that you could just pull it off the wall and just like super like the wall. What is that called when it's like a built-in shelves? I don't know what that's called.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah,
But
everything
yeah, but
in
everything just fit there and
that
like
is
it's
gift wrapping space. Like the place I'm living, like I don't even have like a designated meditation space right now. Like I'm one bedroom, like I'm renting a room. Like I was renting a room at the time, so like, I didn't have my own living room. These people have their own wrapping room. Like and then yeah, whole like beautiful pool, beautiful space. I got to meet her aunt and uncle, and her uncle was he worked with investors.
Hmm.
He was just in that investment industry, and then his aunt didn't really work. So her aunt didn't really work. So yeah, it was super cool. And then I really wanted to stay in touch with those people too, but we kind of like fell out after.
Right.
But yeah, I always look back on that as one of my most outrageous law of attraction stories, just because it's messy and I definitely put people in a situation where they were worried about me, which I'm like, okay, can I manifest the mansion but not have people be worried about me? So
Yeah.
the one thing that is like a negative about the situation, but other than that, it was cool to see that I was able to decide I'm sleeping in a mansion and the universe arranged it to happen.
Yeah, I love the roller coaster as well, you know, like the minute you feel restricted, like people are like shying away, and then when you surrender at the end, like right at the end you surrender, and that's when like the girl just offered you the space. But like to be aware of, like, you know, that moment when you were like, oh, I know that person, I'm gonna go talk, that might be the person that will offer me, and then like they're shying away and like bye, you know, like people are like responding so well. You
Yeah,
know.
like you have to decide what your manifestation is. You decide what you want, and then you choose to just forget about it and live your life.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. When I was thinking about having a place to stay and thinking about connecting with people for that reason, no one wanted to connect with me.
Yes.
But then when I was just genuinely, okay, here I am, this is what's happening, I wasn't even thinking. I kind of gave up and didn't think I was gonna, I thought I was gonna sleep in my car. Like I was done with it. And then it came. So it's kind of interesting. It's, you have to stay in your own experience and like be careful about what kind of information you're taking in, because like I've watched YouTube videos where they say you need to hold the vision the whole entire time, like you have, if you stop believing in it then it won't come. And in this story I totally stopped believing in it and it still came.
Yes.
And then I've had other stories where I believed in it the whole time and it came. So I don't know, a
I,
lot.
I think it's from this, it's the space from where from, like when we're holding on to a belief, we're in the space of lack or scarcity. Like I remember, it makes me think of a story when I was in Las Vegas. I was like traveling in my car and I was sleeping in my car, and it was like a whole thing in the States and stuff, and I'm from Canada, so I was like away from home. um and I was in Las Vegas, and I wasn't like, my money was super low, and I didn't have like much more, but I opened my bag and I had like a few euros that was left from another travel that I was like doing a few years back, and I was like, I'm gonna play that money. Like, this isn't in my budget, this, I didn't know I had this on me. I'm gonna play those euros, and I'm gonna like bring more money into my space so I can like continue to travel. And I was like super restricted because I felt like, from scarcity, I was afraid, I wasn't in my country, and I was like living in my car. And Las Vegas is a, it's a whole other experience, you know, like a lot of people on that in that place that are like wanting to sell you stuff, and like sex and money and like people, and it was like super overwhelming. And I was like super scared, you know, and I was like playing the I had like 10 euros, and I was like, come on, come on, come on, come on. And I was holding on to that wish, or, and then I didn't make money. And then I felt like I lost everything. But then I decided to just leave Las Vegas behind. And that's when I just found this great spot right in the desert, full moon, the stars, nothing around myself. I was just alone in the desert, and I felt like so full, you know, like leaving this place, leaving this, the lack, the scarcity, and just like, just let it go, you know. And then after that episode, like I had like so many good stuff that happened to me. But like that moment where I was like trying to get that money, and like, I want to have that money, I want to have that money, but it was coming from a scarcity. I bet that if I would like do it again and just go over there and like releasing, you know, thinking I'm just, I need, I'm gonna have money, and I'm going there and I release the outcome and I'm just enjoying it. But I wasn't enjoying it, it was a scary place. I was like by myself. Like it was just like, I wasn't having fun at all. And I was into Sex in the City as well, and I saw this machine that was a Sex in the City machine, and I was like, "This is it. This is my time. Like this is my spot. I need." And I played all my money in that. You know, that 10, 10 euros. You know, it's barely nothing. And I lost, and I was like, "Shit." You know, like super sad about it, but you misinterpret the signs when you're coming from that lack, that fear. You know, and so I feel that in your story as well, when you reached out to that person that you knew, and you're like, come on, this is the person. You're gonna help me tonight, right? You know. And they're like, nope.
No. Whoa. I love that you have a similar story where you're just like, you felt like you needed the
Yes.
money and you were just trying to make things into a sign when it wasn't really a sign.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's true, it's tricky to just let go, to just let go, you know. Like I've seen those videos you're talking about too, when they're saying you gotta hold on to that belief and like keep on like saying it. but
Yeah.
they're not saying that it has to come from a space, a special space where you're like surrendering as
Right.
at the same time. It's like it's a tricky thing, right?
Yeah, and but I think it can be simple because it's to me it's letting go of doing things because you think you should be doing them.
Yes.
Thinking I even like experienced it in these little moments where that idea came to me where I thought, oh, like it's about doing something where you think you should be doing it. And
Mm,
it felt so important. I was like, you know what? I should just say it because you were still on your flow. I was like, I should just interrupt because people need to hear this and this is important. And then I just stopped and I was like, what? Like no one's out there needing to hear something. Like I feel like we should
mm,
let go of that narrative because I mean
yes.
I feel like yes, from the listener's perspective, from me listening to content, I've definitely had moments where I felt like I needed to hear something, but I feel like it has come from the creator that has just been in their pure creative flow. I
Mm,
don't think that person decided, I'm going to say this because these people need to hear this and I'm going to do this because it needs to be done this way and someone told me that I should do this and I'm going to do it this way. Like, I just think that that can create a lot of frustration and it's just not the highest way of creating your reality.
no. Yeah, you're right. Awesome. How about the last story? Do you have a last one?
Ooh, I actually would like to create a new story because I'm at the point in my journey where I've had so many experiences with the law of attraction
Mm,
for myself and for my personal experience where now it's like, okay, if I can attract a mansion in Miami and I can attract perfect skin, what can a group of people that get together and believe in the law of attraction attract for
mm,
the land and for the experiences that we have with each other? And I've had that on my mind a lot, especially in your space with Let's Create the Revolution.
yes.
How can we visualize and have ideas about the revolution and what that means? And I think that would be great to talk about
Yes.
it.
Yes. 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 Because yeah, we have to. Well, we don't have to. Okay, we get to create this thing, right? And yeah, let's talk about this. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Well, one thing I've been seeing a lot is sharing, like sharing
Mm-hmm.
spaces, bringing back tribe. I want to create this revolution around possessions and like what we own. And it's like being able to have that energy of sharing your space and sharing your talents and sharing your gifts and just not feeling like you need to gain something from that is so
Yes.
like that's important to me right now and that's like the space I want to be surrounded with.
Yes. Yeah. There's a difference between wanting to gain something and just trusting that this is going to happen. Well, I usually say for you, but now that you're that you're in this space, I'm going to say that is this is happening as you, right?
Right.
So like when you get together, like I'm not doing those podcasts in a way to gain something, but deep down inside of me I know I'm going to gain something, but I'm not doing it for that. Like whether I'm gaining the revolution or money or friends or like network or whatever, like it doesn't really matter what I'm gaining, but I know I'm going to gain, but I'm not doing that from that space.
Yeah, like you're in that presence of I'm here, I'm doing this, I love this, this is the work I love to do, these are the people I love to be surrounded by,
Yes.
your ideal reality, and you know that you're just on the path of receiving and you're just open. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, because that's the sharing part. Like for me, first we got to get to know ourselves and then we can share. the truth. We can share who we are. We can share it, and that's what brings so much value in the collective. And that's how we create that revolution. So yes, we have like inner works to do first, and then as much as we're going into this thing, like there's gonna have like moments of evolution where we're gonna need to get back inward and build a little bit more, and then like go back outward again and share that. And that's how we create that revolution. That's what I'm manifesting anyway. So I don't know, that's what I want to see. I want to see people taking care of themselves, taking responsibility for who they are, and finding their true voice and acting from that.
Mm.
And my biggest vision is for parents, future parents, or already parents, present parent, to embody that, because the kids, they're just gonna model that. And so if the parents are doing it, the kids are doing it, and then the revolution, like it's exponential. Like so so
I took
yeah.
that totally. Mhm.
What else do you see for this revolution?
Expression is super important. The creativity. You
Yes.
talked about that a little bit, but once you go inward and you realize who you truly are, you have this infinite ability to express yourself. And you realize, oh, like I am a creator of my reality. Like that's the first thing I created. The
Mm,
first thing I ever created was me, like this vessel. Like I decided who I would be and I decided what I would do. And I designed this whole experience with all
mm,
these different pathways. And I'm definitely this masterful creator that's here within the experience, experiencing my own creations. And that's what I love about time is it gives you perspective of, okay, I had this idea, I knew that this was available to me, and then I tuned into the experience of it. And it's just so beautiful to be able to look through that. So I think just viewing life in a way that feels good to you and then
mm,
sharing it in a way where you're just expressing this is what I see and this is what I'm experiencing
mm,
versus a lot of what I see is, this is the way and this is what's happening and like come follow my framework and my process and my system. You're denying people their own right to be free. Like,
yes.
yes, if you follow a system that a millionaire created on how to build $1 million business, like, yeah, you'll go and probably build $1 million business because you're learning from $1 million person who did it. But is that the path that your soul wants? Like, maybe it is the path that your soul wants. Like, maybe it's possible.
Yes.
Some people enjoy that, but like for me, I've noticed with my path, like I enjoy taking in people's experiences and I enjoy just sitting in a space of presence where I can take it in and
Mm,
laugh and have fun and enjoy. But to take someone's experience and turn it into a system and a process and follow it and say, this is the way, like, this is how you do this, it just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't resonate with me. And that's been one of the challenges on my journey in particular, where but not really challenges. I would say opportunity. It's been an opportunity to do something different, which I think is what the revolution
mm,
is
yes.
about having the opportunity to choose a different way and to create your own path. And I think we talked about this in the pre-interview, how
Yes.
I didn't choose a different box. I chose to figure out which version of me was beyond this realm creating this box.
Yes.
Who is that for me? Is it God? Is it Jesus? Is it Buddha? Like, is it Allah? Is it the universe? Is it just figure out what that energy is for me, find it, connect with it, be with it, and collaborate to then, from all my experiences and all my perspectives and all my ideas and all my
Mm,
content, all my beliefs, create my own box that really feels like mine, that I can look and be like, I did this and I made this. And I love doing that. And I can relate to that. And it's the same way that the physical world is, that,
yeah.
I feel like people have pride for the things that they've built themselves. Like when someone builds a home from scratch and they're just like, I laid the foundation, the entire home, like this is my home. I am doing the exact same thing, except I'm doing it in my inner world, where I'm building everything and doing everything. And then when I open my eyes and come back into the outer world, it's already done and it's just
Yes.
magically there. And so I think people misunderstand me a lot because they think that, and maybe this whole revolution could, I don't want to put that out there though. Maybe the evolution will be understood. How about that? The evolution will be understood. But in the past, maybe, once I talk about my journey, more people will understand. But in the past, I've been labeled as someone who like wants the easy way out, or doesn't
Mm,
work hard, because I want things to just appear and I want things to just show up. But things do appear for me and things do show up for me because I've gone within and I've imagined and decided, and I've chosen to take that path where it is easy and it is fun and I don't have to work hard. And
yes.
I think that the humanity has just had so much pride in the area of hard work, of sacrifice, of struggle, and there's just not a cell in my body that is tuned into that, where
Yes.
my body is just like, I want to feel relaxed, I want to be safe, I want to feel
Mm,
peace. And there are millions of examples of people who feel relaxed and safe and at peace and are highly successful in the financial world and in the material world. And
yes.
if heaven on earth gets to be heaven in our bodies,
Mm,
abundance in our careers, abundance in our relationships, and that's also the revolution to me.
yes.
Revolutionizing peace, like bringing peace back into the world, like not in a way of like just this big scheme of we want to like end all war and destruction, but what about just the peace in your body in this moment, like being able to have that peace with yourself and not feeling like because you're choosing peace and because you're choosing ease, you're going to lose out on having a successful financial career, because you have to be stressed out and you have to be working hard in order to attain that. That's a big thing for me to break in my timeline and my generation.
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely. I think, how old are you?
26.
26. So I'm 40. Um, I feel like your generation are like bringing something forward that is super hard for older generation to grasp on. Exactly what you're saying, like the hard work and and I hear that a lot, that your generation is lazy, and I'm like, no, they're creative. Like, I've seen you guys, I mean, I'm so impressed, and like I cannot believe to like what my kids are gonna, like the next generation, what they're gonna do, like so many of you are like valuing time as, like you're rich with your time.
Yes, yes, we're rich.
And yeah,
We're rich with our spiritual life. Like my spiritual,
yes,
like I am so rich in that way. Like the abilities are just insane, and like it's so cool that you bring up the generations too, because I'm actually
yes,
my grandma right now, because I can't, like my finances have been up and down and I can't afford to stay on my own right now, and so she's helping me out and I'm staying with her. And I was talking to her the other day and I said, I have a house on the beach. I was just expressing my story of like my dreams and my goals, and like I never say I'm going to or I will. Like I just will say like I have, it's happening, it's here
mm,
now. And she said, "That's a fantasy. Like, you can't say that." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, it is a fantasy, but like, just because you don't have it, like, to have something doesn't mean to have it in your hands. Like, you know,
Yes.
say, like, I have a pair of glasses. Like, I don't have them right now. My glasses are sitting over there. Like, you can't see them.
But you have them. They're
Still there.
there.
I
They're
have
there.
even so, but with the house thing, it's like I feel like I do have that because it's, I don't know how old I am. Don't want to put a box on it, but there's an age in the future where I have that house and where
Yes.
I am, more financially stable. And like, I just know that I have to believe that and know that it's true. And she definitely will, she respects me though, because she'll just kindly say, like, I don't understand. And, I just have to, okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's just, people don't have to. That I think that is the one cool thing about being a human is that when you are manifesting and creating your life, you do get to do it on your own. Like, it helps to be supported and it helps to have other people believe in what you're creating.
Yes.
You don't have to have someone else approve your dreams for them to come true. You don't have to have someone else decide that it is possible. Like, it's really just you deciding that. And I think
Mm.
that's really cool too, to have that ability where you can choose that for yourself.
Yes, and that's the word creating is so powerful. That's why I chose it for this podcast because when you're creating, like you're making it happening, right? And you're doing it over and over and over again. That's why I want to bring people that are living outside the box because even though you're creating your own box, at one point, like you're going to need to expand, right? And you're going to have to create something else because you're not going to stay, even though you've created it, like you're going to have to recreate another one that's going to suit better. And yes, I think your generation is bringing something
Mm,
forward that is so important in that realm of like not choosing to work in a specific job and like choosing to understand who they are, like I remember when I was 20, like 20 years ago, I was already doing that and I was like it was so foreign for everyone else, like no one would believe me, and now I see you guys and I'm like, yes. Yes, this is happening globally now. Yes. I felt so alone because no one in my generation, well, some of us would we were trying, like we were starting this thing, but you guys are like exploding it, and you can see it on social media. I mean, this is so beautiful, and your kids, like my kids, and then your kids, oh my god, I don't I'm this is
yeah, it's a big shift. And even when you were talking about the box, I got this vision of the box transforming into this tunnel where it's like
yeah.
contained in something, but it's always moving. And I think that is a big distinction where it's like when you're in the box, like when you're working a predictable job and you have that predictable life, like you just stay in the same space. Your
Yeah.
consciousness has no room to go anywhere else. But then there's this tunnel where it's like you're constantly moving forward and you're writing on the walls as you go and just deciding what will be. And yeah, a creator is such a powerful word.
Yes.
Creating, and we get to not only live our lives, we get to create our lives too.
Yes, it's so empowering to see ourselves as creator. And yeah, that's why I wanted to use this word, this specific word, like as I am super creative as a person, but so that was like another like a little wink at myself because I'm super creative, but I wanted to create the thing. Like I want to bring on creator as well, because that's the way it's going to go. Like you have like to create something to make it move and to make it bigger and to make it wider and like so yeah, I really love this word and I think it's very empowering to use it as definition for ourselves. Like it's not like so stuck, you know, like I don't know, I'm a mother, like you're a mother, right? And then I'm a student, so you're a student, but you're a creator. It's like you can create whatever you want.
Mhm. Yeah, and it feels free because you get to decide I'm a mother because I'm a creator, because I get to
Yes.
be a mother because I created that opportunity for myself and I
Yes.
that it
And I
gives
created life, man.
it life. Yes. It gives that freedom. I'm super creative too. What's one of the favorite things that you create?
Well, right now it's I'm working a lot with Canva on like the
I love
digital. I
uh,
just love it. Everything I'm doing, it's with Canvas. Everybody's like, how did you do that? And I'm like, I'm using Canva. Really? Me too. That's not my result. Like, but but that's what I'm using, and I don't know. I feel super inspired. But I used to paint, but yeah, with children like all around, like they want to paint as well, and so I have to be like I. It felt like I needed to be like the teacher of the creation more than me and my true creativity as a painter. So I see them like all my paintings are right there, you know, they're in the closet. I'm not doing it right now, but I'm gonna do it again soon. And I used to dance a lot and I used to write. I'm still writing. I used to write poetry and all kinds of stuff. I sing, you know, just creation. It's every day. It's like whatever, like you're doing the dishes and you're dancing while you're doing it because it's so much more fun, you know? It's like you're creating a moment. You're creating, like, as a mother, I'm creating so much with my kids. Like, I'm expanding their mind with their agreement, of course. But like, creating relationship, like I feel like everything I'm doing, it's creation, but like in a the art form right now, it's mostly in the virtual space, and I'm enjoying it so much. It's so fun. It's not messy.
amazing. I love seeing people be just the fullest part of themselves and creating everything.
Yes, how about you? What's your creative?
You, I sing, I dance, I write poetry. I love Canva. Um, creating relationships, creating my business, I feel like is a creative
Yes.
for me as well. Something new to create in that way. And I think it's just so cool how when you're in that space, before a creation has become, like just sitting in that space with yourself and feeling all the different possibilities that can come
Mm.
from this one moment. That's my favorite thing about creativity is having that moment with the blank canvas or the blank page or the beginning of a voice memo before you record a song where like it hasn't happened yet and you just get to pause
Right.
and be like, wow, like anything could be right now, anything.
Yes.
And it's one of my favorite things about creativity.
Yes. And maybe my last question for you.
Okay.
um, what's your vision for your business?
That is a good question. It is evolving so much, so much. Like a few weeks ago, I was very excited to call myself a spirit guide. And then I kind of got into a place where I was like, well, I'm a spiritual mentor and guide. And
Mm,
because I'm at the beginning of it where I've been working with people, but I haven't put many labels because I'm exploring the work and exploring everything.
yes.
But the vision that I'm tuned into now that may change is to have established practices. So, one of the practices that I've created through my work with my clients basically involves, which I mean, it does go with intuitive healing. Like when you look up the definition for intuitive healing, like
Mm-hmm.
that definition where you're having someone close their eyes and you're journeying together into their inner world, and you're able to show them how to create things and how to shift things, and then they're coming out of that opening their eyes and experiencing a different reality because of what work they've done in the inner realm. And so that is an aspect of intuitive healing. I love to call it intuitive rewiring.
Nice.
I know a lot about neurobiology, and I'm like, I'm totally rewiring people's brains. And I have a client who actually took a personality test before she met me, and her creativity level was at 0. And since we've been doing sessions together, her creativity level has increased. Like, she took the personality test again. She was curious because she's like, I've changed so much the past year. I want to look this up. And so her actual psychological personality test was completely different from the work we did together. And so,
Awesome.
yeah, so that was like one of the first times that I was like, okay, because I've been wondering, how do I get tangible results for people? Because everything I'm doing is kind of go with the flow and like unpredictable. And I feel like everyone I'm working with is having different results. So like, I don't know what is this? And so for her to have that shift, I'm like, okay, that's really cool. Like, she has like a actual statistics that she changed. Like, it shows, which like I knew she changed, but it's nice to see like the science of it. But anyways, I see having these modalities and these practices that can be taught to others, so that, you know, I'm not the only one that has this perspective. I mean, I don't know. At the same time, it's like, do I want to duplicate my perspective? I don't think so, because that's what we've been doing and it doesn't work. So maybe just being the best intuitive healer that I can be, and
Yeah.
being the best intuitive healer, like that might one day involve like not being the intuitive healer anymore. Like, I don't know. Like, I think that's another thing about the box thing that's been shifting, where I think people have realized that sometimes being the best basketball player means that you decide you're not that good and it's not natural for you, and you become a soccer player instead because you're better at kicking a ball than dribbling it. Like, you, and you can't find out that you're bad at basketball until you go play basketball some and just
Exactly, yes.
see what comes naturally. And I think like we keep adding more to the revolution, which is awesome. Like, we get to do the things that come natural and are easy for us. We get to find what it is about us that shines naturally. We have a light inside of us that's literally beaming at all times. And I feel like there's this pressure from society to like go find a match, like go find something you can light your fire with. You got to
Yes.
go search for it and find it. And it's like, the fire has been lit. It's literally inside of you, like beaming and vibing. And someone really wanted to sell you a process for how to get your fire lit. So they covered up your idea of your own inner fire so that you wouldn't know that you had it inside you. So now you're out searching for it. So I'm going on such a tangent, but it is like I see the world that way a lot, where it just seems like people are disempowering others to try to sell something or make
Yeah.
it happen, and it's wrong. Like, it doesn't sit right. And I think because we're all waking up to our emotions more and becoming more sensitive, we all can feel it now. We all right away are like, nope, don't want to be part of that. What is that? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't feel.
Yeah.
But anyways, my vision is to, you know, have something to offer people that feels right. Something that is in the paradigm where it's something where people don't have to think or question. They just know, okay, like being with this person is going to, you know, bring me more confidence in my path. Being with this person is going to make me feel like me. The content I create, the stuff I'm putting out in the world, I have a vision of people being in my space and knowing who they are and feeling more like them.
Yeah.
I have a vision of doing live events. It's one of the things I've really wanted to do. And I've been to a few live events. And after
Yeah.
I leave the live event, I often feel like there's like a piece of that person kind of inside me now.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's like you have the voice of that leader like in you and it's directing you. And I don't like that. Like, I don't, because then I've got to meditate longer and
Mm.
work. And it's almost like you come into a room with your painting of your reality and who you are. And then this leader comes and starts painting for you and doing all this stuff for you. And you asked them to do that, right? Because you bought a ticket, you signed up for the event, you wanted them to do that.
Yeah.
But then I don't know, something happens with me where like I come home and I look at the painting and I'm like, yeah, but I didn't do this. Like, and I know we're all one and we're all connected. And you could say, okay, but there's a version of him that is you that did do that. But I'm in my human experience and like I feel like I did it. Like I feel like that's like the spiritual ego that's kind of good where it's just like wanting
Yeah.
to have your own experience and or maybe it's sovereignty, not needing
Yeah,
but
maybe.
I have this vision of, people. I just want to show them that they have the paintbrush and that they have the canvas.
Yes.
Just give them space, like hold space for them to be who they are, so that then when they leave my space, they are more deeply embodied in who they are and who their soul is, and what their concept of God is, what their concept of the universe is, what their concept of life is.
Yes.
It's theirs. They created it. Because I think it's almost like, and I have another metaphor, but it's almost like with surgery. It's like if you put like a piece of plastic in your body, like the body is going to feel like it's foreign and it's not like
Mm.
going to kind of reject it and feel weird about it.
Yeah.
I think that's my work and my vision is to help people kind of remove those parts of themselves that were kind of installed and placed and
Yes.
without full consent and without full knowing of what was happening. They didn't know that these ideas were going to come into their mind and then they were going to have a totally different concept of the world that's different than the soul intended concept that they had. And they're
Yes.
really be like, you know what, I wanted, like, they get back to that space, that pure innocence that they came into the world with of, this is who I am and this is what I want.
Yeah, to help them peel those layers and get back to the real thing.
Yes. My favorite quote of all time is what Michelangelo said about the statue of David. Do you know it?
Yes, I don't know it in English. I know it in French, but
Ah,
yes, like
yes,
he started with the block and like he just peeled all the stuff to just like
yes.
bring this thing to life. So I don't know the exact quote in English, but yeah.
Yeah, you should say it in French too. That would be
Yeah.
Can you say it in French? Do you
Well, no one would understand. I can look it up.
But it would sound beautiful. I know it in English.
Okay, so I'm just gonna look it up for me to make sure.
Okay. I'll say it in English while you look it up, and then you could say it in French. It would sound beautiful. And I think that was one of like the points that I was making earlier of like getting rid of the need to understand things. And I mean that's what I offer. It's like you just experience it. Like you don't even have to know what the words mean. Just take them in and trust that part of you is
Yes.
in taking it in. But he he said that he did not sculpt David. He simply removed everything that was not.
Yes. So, oh, that's not the one. But this one is good though. Oh, Jolie, I got it. I got it. Dans chaque bloc de marbre, dans chaque bloc de marbre, je vois une statue aussi réelle que si elle se dressait devant moi, sculptée juste dans l'attitude et le geste. Je n'ai plus qu'à travailler la paroi grossière qui emprisonne cette magnifique apparition pour la révéler aux yeux des autres comme les miens la voient.
So beautiful. I literally for a month and you're just taking me there. I'm like, oh,
It's been so long that I've been talking in French in front of my camera.
I loved it. I loved it so much.
All right. Well, I wish you, I don't, what am I wishing you? Well, I wish you the house on the beach for sure.
Yes.
And I don't have to wish you anything regarding to your business because I feel it and I know like this is well needed and I know you're going to bring it up and help as many people as you need to and you get to because what you're here to bring makes so much more sense right now. Like, yeah, I can feel that the people needs to get back to their roots, their own ways instead of looking back to the old ways or the new ways or whatever. It's just you got to get back to your own ways, and the more you're connected to that, the more you're going to bring yourself in a good way and you're going to expand this society.
Right? And society is such a great example of what not to do.
Yes.
Look and be like, oh, they did that. And like, yeah. So thank you for those wishes. And I definitely agree. Like, the universe knows who I am and knows what I offer, knows who everyone else in the world is and what they need. And I definitely believe that just when we get out of our own way, especially with business, it's just people ask for something and then the other people it's the question and answer. The question always
Yes.
has the answer. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Christina.
Yeah. And if anyone is still listening and wanted to be just in a session with me and in a one-on-one space with me, I know my stuff is in the description box.
Yes.
They can.
Yes, for sure. I want people to reach out to you.
Yes, me too. I want to connect with so many beautiful souls on this earth and just be there to hold that space. So
Yes.
I'm here.
Yes. So much blessing for your presence in this podcast. I'm super grateful.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me here and for doing everything that you did to arrive into this moment with me. Because it's always been a journey for us to arrive. So we're here,
Yes.
did it, and I'm so happy that we were able to bring up everything that inspired us in the moment, and to have the freedom to do that is really special.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh my God. Thank you so much success and fun and enjoyment with this podcast. And
Thank you.
yeah, I'll definitely be listening.
Thank you. I'm gonna stop the recording, and we have to stay just a little bit because it has to record. I should
Okay.
have said that before. So I'm gonna end it, and we're just gonna stay there for a little while. Okay.
Okay, cool.